the starting quote, one of the things I love, or one of the things I learned when I was working in addictions, is this is from the 12 steps, is that our character assets in unbalance become our character defects, you know? So I don't think wanting approval, wanting acceptance, wanting validation, wanting excellence, wanting to be our best selves, wanting happiness, which is the things that we strive for with perfectionism and what you guys put here in the chat, are bad. They're character assets to want those things, but in imbalance can become our character defects. Imbalance can become the thing that kind of crushes us. So Tracey and I are going to be talking about that today with you guys all. Thank you guys for coming. Okay. Go ahead, Trace.
So welcome to our workshop. Thank you guys for coming. We're so grateful to have you here and excited. Coloring outside the lines. It's going to be 3 strategies to challenge your guys' perfectionism.
I was on mute. So welcome. I encourage you guys to keep your cameras on, to take notes. If you know how to do screenshots on your phone or things, are going to have some good quotes and some good videos you might be able to take away and revisit later on too. What are some other things? I really want this to be a safe place, so everyone can everyone can type safe place in the chat. We really want this to be a safe place, and what makes it safe is being able to share. Me and Tracey are going to get vulnerable with y'all and get a little bit real and raw and share a little bit of our struggles and what's happened with us. So put safe place in the chat. We're going to participate. We're going to use your reaction buttons. At the end, we're going to be able to answer you guys' questions and stay a little bit after to give you any kind of support for this workshop, because we're going to talk about some deep stuff, right? So we want it to be a safe place. We wanted for you guys to be respectful and kind to one another and be able to share that. So thank you guys for helping us make that. And just to kind of start us off, I like to start things off sometimes with just taking 3 deep breaths, you know? Sometimes, I know me and Tracey, we've been getting excited and we've been getting pumped up for this workshop, and now I'm just like, okay, let's kind of slow it down and calm ourselves down. So you can feel your okoles, your butts in the chairs. Uncross your body, so don't cross your hands or don't cross your feet. Uncross your body so the energy can flow. Have your feet firmly on the ground if possible. And if you feel safe, to close your eyes. And we'll just go ahead and take 3 deep breaths. So in through your nose, sitting up tall, filling up your belly, out through your mouth like you're blowing through a straw. Nice and slow. One more time, in through your nose. And out through your mouth slowly like you're blowing through a straw. Feeling some of the tension, leave your shoulders and back. And one more deep breath. In through your nose. And out through your mouth. How good is breathing? It is so good. It is so, so good. Sometimes if I just take a deep breath, I just feel like I can do anything. So yeah, I encourage you guys to breathe throughout this workshop. Take breaths, take care of yourself. Get some water, get some hydration. I know a lot of us live on Zoom meetings, so don't let this be another meeting that you are so engaged with and you forget about your needs too. So remember to take care of yourself and be here and be present. Okay. Who other to start off this workshop with than Brene Brown? If you're a perfectionist and you haven't listened to some of Brene Brown's work on vulnerability, I really encourage you to go on a YouTube binge and watch a bunch of her stuff. She is amazing. And in this video, she's going to talk about how perfectionism becomes this shield, but how in balance, when we are in balance, we're really this striving for excellence. And that's a good thing. It's a good thing to strive to be our best self and strive for excellence. But when does it become a shield? So I think she explains it really well. It's just 3 minutes. So let's get into it.
Let's talk about some of the most common examples of armor. You were talking about the armor that we put on to protect ourselves.
Yeah, I think the big three are perfectionism, numbing, foreboding joy. And there's also cynicism, cool, and being critical. So let's look at them. Perfectionism. How many of you struggle with perfectionism a little bit? Okay, so my favorite story is that someone sent me an email one time that said, hey, I know you have a book on shame, not so interested in that, but if you ever write on perfectionism, I can't wait. So here's the secret. When perfectionism is driving, shame is always riding shotgun. And fear is the annoying backseat driver.
Say it again.
When perfectionism is driving, shame is always riding shotgun. We struggle with perfectionism in areas where we feel most vulnerable to shame. Does that make sense? So we're all comfortable saying, yeah, I'm a little perfectionistic, which is code for like I do things really well. But I'm not comfortable saying I have shame. But perfectionism, what is that? I call it the 20-ton shield. Here's what perfectionism really is. It's a way of thinking that says this: if I look perfect, live perfect, work perfect, I can avoid or minimize criticism, blame, and ridicule.
Whoa, that's good.
All perfectionism is the 20-ton shield that we carry around hoping that it'll keep us from being hurt. When in truth, what it does is it keeps us from being seen. And so we had a great talk about what's the difference between perfectionism.
Yes, because somebody on my staff had the nerve to tell me that I was a perfectionist. And I absolutely denied that. And you stood by me. Thank you very much. Because I'm not a perfectionist. I'm a person who strives for excellence and requires excellence. There is a difference, is there not?
There is a difference. Here's the difference. Because sometimes I'm a healthy striver. Yeah. And sometimes I'm a perfectionist. It depends on if I'm
relate. Put a one in the
got
chat
a
if you can
worthiness
relate.
crunch going on.
Yeah.
So healthy striving is internally focused. It's I want to do this and be the best I can be. Perfectionism is not about what I want. Perfectionism is exactly what will people think.
Yes.
So how many of you are driven by what will people think? So I'll give you a great example.
Put a 2 in the chat.
So while we're taping these, my son's first day at school.
What will people think?
And so, I'll be home tomorrow, right? It's not a big deal, but it's what will people think?
Is he in the first grade?
Second.
Okay.
So he is monogrammed from toe to toe. His haircut, everything's laid out. His lunch will have some kind of vegetable fruit ratio that's perfect. Because I am struggling a little bit.
Because you're here with me and not...
And what will people think?
What will people think? They're going to think, there she is up there with Oprah.
Yeah. Talking about how to be a good parent.
Yes, and her fancy boots. Yeah.
Right. But so I don't think... So the thing is, you can't ever do anything brave if you're wearing the straitjacket of what will people think.
Ooh, how good is that? So that's what we're here to talk about today, right? Is this straitjacket, like when it becomes imbalanced. So Tracey and I are next going to introduce ourselves, and we'll start with Tracey.
Hi, I'm Tracey Keliikuloa-Takara. I'm a mother of 2, and I was thinking of a story to share with you guys, and I went into my perfectionism mode and I thought of all these different perfectionism stories, but the one that really, really resonated with me was I have a daughter, she's now 10, but at the time she was maybe 3 and she was in preschool, and we were sitting down and she was doing art. Oh, before that, let me explain to you. She was also the only 2 and 3-year-old that when we went to the store would be putting toys and shoes back on the shelf and arranging them so that they looked nice and pretty. So when we were sitting down doing art, she was trying to make this heart, and she kept getting so upset with herself because it wasn't symmetrical, to the point where she was almost in tears. She kept ripping up her paper and throwing it away and trying again. And that really just spoke to me, and it hit me on such a deep level, that I didn't want her growing up with the same rigid expectations and beliefs that I did, because it was hard and painful, and God, I just wanted to tell her, just, color outside the lines. You got to just start doing that. It's okay. Like, there's no perfect, and hence the name of our workshop. Thank you.
Trace and I met almost a year ago, I think. And Trace is also a coach and loves to help other women who are struggling with similar things that she has been through herself. And we'll share more about ourselves throughout this presentation too. And you can see how you connect with Tracey. Thanks, Trace.
Thank
You're
you.
amazing. And perfectionism is the thing that linked the two of us. Like, we were like, this is our most common trait that we have. So like, we're going to do a workshop. Let's do it on perfectionism because that's what we can relate to the most with each other. So here we are. My name is Chasidy Kaaua Wright, and I really resonated with that video with Brene Brown because I think that the root of my perfectionism is actually my people pleasing. And when she said that, it was so validating because it's really this thing of like, what will people think? If I'm by myself and no one can see me, like I'm not so rigid on myself, but it's what other people would think if they saw me, So a little bit of my story is I currently live in a beautiful beachfront condo with my cute dog Gyoza. I run my own business, Thinking with a Twist, from home. I've been working from home for the last 3 years because I had a work from home business before that, or I work for a company. I have an amazing group of family and friends that support me, and I've accomplished a lot in my life. I bought an apartment when I was 26, and I've been around the world traveling. But about 2 years ago, I really struggled with the thought of not wanting to be here anymore and wanting to end my life. And a big reason of that is, I think, due to my perfectionism, that no matter how much I did, there was this part of me that ached because I never really felt good enough. And I struggled with that. And I tried to get rid of that feeling by accomplishing things and by making friends and by getting all these things. But what I found is that it was really difficult. And I know a lot of you guys can relate to that feeling of just like, oh, why does this not feel good enough? Why am I not happy? And over the past year and over the past 2 years, when I got to that point of like, man, I cannot keep feeling this way. Like, this is not a way that I want to live. I really got deep in my work with my self-love and looking at myself differently, talking to myself differently, and being around a support system that would help me look at all the things that I have in my life and feel good enough, like feel like that's good enough, even if you strive for more, like that worthiness, to be fulfilled, feeling worthy, whether I have got the goal or not, And that's why I am so passionate too about what I do now and helping people. I love to say that I help people pleasers and perfectionists like find their way back to their purpose and their meaning in life, because that's honestly what has saved my life. So I am so happy to be doing this work and so happy to be knowing so many of you I've gotten to meet on this journey. So actually all of you I've met on this journey, maybe except for one I met before I started the journey. So yes, thank you. That's a little bit about me. So let's talk a little bit about you. And you signed up for this workshop because you can identify with that word, perfectionist, right? So what does that really mean? Tracey's going to talk a little bit more about that.
Brene Brown said it great when she described perfectionist as always worrying about what other people think, right? The anxious feeling, worrying about being judged by others, seeking validation or approval from others. You guys mentioned that in the chat, right? Chas talked about linking your value or your worth with what you're accomplishing, not wanting to try new things in fear of, being embarrassed or failure, having a hard time asking others for help. Control was another thing that was mentioned in the chat, wanting to be liked by everyone. and being super hard on yourself and critical of others.
Yeah. What on this list stands out to you the most? What on this list that Tracey has mentioned stands out to you the most? Is it the being hard on yourself? Is it the black and white thinking? Is it the wanting to control things? Type in the chat here. What is the thing that you struggle with the most? Cindy said everything.
Yes,
And
me
Cindy,
too.
I love it. The honesty. Us too, Cindy. At some point, I guess which are the ones that stand out to you guys? And if there's anything else on the list here that you attribute to your perfectionism, what is it? Procrastination and hard on yourself. Yes,
Oh, yes.
totally. Procrastination, it's like, okay, I can't do that until I'm perfect, right? I can't do that until I'm perfect. I definitely thought that as a coach. I was like, how am I going to be a mindset coach and help people when I am so overweight myself? Like, I got to lose this weight before I become a coach. So then people would actually value what I have to say. I was like, girl, I'll be waiting a long time until I become a coach if I did that. Control. Imposter syndrome. Yeah.
All or nothing. Yeah.
The extreme. Thank you, ladies. Thank you for sharing. So again, this is kind of an intense thing to talk about, right? This is things that we haven't just struggled with for the last couple of years as business owners or as mothers or as, growing women. We haven't just struggled with this for a couple of years. We likely have been struggling with this for our whole life, right? Being hard on ourselves, feeling critical, feeling like we weren't good enough, putting things off, right? So in this talk, we're going to tell a lot of stories. If anything comes up for you, you feel triggered, or some heavy emotions like shame come up for you, or worry, or if it makes you more intense or anxious, please stay afterwards a couple minutes and talk to us. We can also do a one-to-one calls and stuff to talk about any feelings that come up for you. But we just want to give you that, respect and warning that this is some emotional stuff that we might talk about. Yeah. And a lot of the times, I think that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, So part of the human experience that we signed up for as spiritual beings is emotions. What other thing it makes us more human than our emotions, So it's totally normal that any of those feelings come up, and it's also part of, I think, why we're here. So let's get to the feelings. Yeah. So right in the chat here, or you don't even have to because you already said it. How has your perfectionism impacted you? Have you not followed through on some dreams that you've had? Have you left things undone in your checklist because you're scared that you're not perfect yet? Have you feared putting yourself out there? Have you feared dating? Have you feared healing some relationship with your parents or with your friends because you're so afraid that it's going to cause conflict or you're being hard on yourself?
Or even just trying new things, right? Like new
Yes.
hobbies. That happened for me for a long time. I didn't want to try any new hobbies because I was scared that I was going to suck at it.
Yes. And it causes conflicts in our relationships. Like Sky said, unrealistic expectations of ourselves. When we put that on our spouses, conflict. That's a huge one. Such a good one, Sky. And then beating yourself up after you fail, right? So then it's this continuous process. We're hard on others, we're hard on ourselves. We're hard on others and we're hard on ourselves. That is going to cause problems in our relationships, right? And it's going to hold us back in our businesses. It's going to hold us back in our emotional life. We're going to feel overwhelmed, depressed. A lot of times perfectionism in unbalance can lead to depression, right? Because that's that negative self-talk, negative thoughts and feelings. I overwork myself to the point of fatigue. Yes, getting burnt out is definitely a way perfectionism impacts us. And then you can be very bossy and scary to your family and friends. Yeah, being that controlling, right? Wanting to have control because we want the best for our family and friends. That's the place and the people that we love the most. So of course we want the best for them. And sometimes we just want to control them because we just don't want them to make those mistakes that we see them going towards, right? So it's ooh, yeah, it gives us such, I can totally relate to that. I got shivers all over my body on that one. Thank you guys.
Cindy, often feeling like if she makes the wrong decision, it's over for life.
Oh,
yeah.
So important. So important. So I love it. I love it. And I'm so thankful that you guys were able to find this workshop and be able to come today. And I really hope that something you hear today helps you on that journey. You know, if you can just take away one thing from this workshop today that you can apply to your life and make a little bit of a difference, like that would mean the world. That would mean the world. So let's talk about, again, the intentions of this workshop. So we hope that you get to learn the 3 strategies that we describe to help for decreasing your perfectionism. And we hope that you feel open to new possibilities. I already feel the openness from you guys. So, oh, beautiful. And
that you can take some action and really implement what you learn here today into your life so that changes can be made.
Yes. So hopefully there's some things in here that you can really be like, yes, I can try that. I can do that, and make a plan to do that after this class. Okay. Ready for the strategies. Strategy number 1. Increasing awareness. Okay, so I'm an awareness queen. I love awareness. I think that's why secretly I became a therapist, because I love those aha moments, you know? I love when I can be like, ooh, where does this come from? Where did I learn this? What's happening with me, right? I just love awareness. Now, sometimes you can get stuck in awareness and not take action, but a lot of change starts with the awareness process, right? Even in 12-step, the first step is acknowledging that you have a problem, right? So the awareness of the things. So let's talk about the inner Mosaic method today. I want to share this tool with you. This has been an amazing tool for increasing my awareness, but also helping me get into alignment for what I really would like. So the inner Mosaic tool is a method that was developed by Samantha Kaaua. I'm supposed to put TM above here. Sorry, this is a trademark method by Sam. I didn't put it there, but it goes here. TM goes here. Okay, everybody. It's a trademark method. And basically it's this idea and this acknowledgement that throughout our life and experiences, there are certain emotional things that happen to us that later on become ways that we respond in a moment. So a 7-year-old that might have been bullied or being scared of bullying from her peers at school, now she goes into this room of new people and immediately she has that fear of being bullied again. And it can kind of feel like we take us back and we lose control of our driver's seat and we kind of give it up to something else. And we kind of be like, man, why was I so triggered? Why was I so out of control? Like, I'm a pretty level-headed person. Like, how come I got so emotional about that? So if ever you're feeling super triggered, this is a great method to help kind of ground you and bring yourself back. So the first part of this method is answering these 4 questions about the trigger situation. Now, you want to do this typically after the situation has occurred. If you're doing it while you're in the moment, it's best to do it with someone else. So a coach, like you can reach out to Sam too and see about learning more about this method. She has a whole program based around it. But when you're triggered and you're in the moment, I would recommend just kind of sitting with yourself, breathing through that and working through that trigger and doing this method after that. Yeah. So in retrospect, when you're trying to gain awareness about it. So asking yourself the first question, what is the problem or challenge that you are experiencing right now? Right. And it could be that you're feeling hard on your peers. It could be that you're feeling hard on your family, that you are wanting to control what they're doing, that you are being hard on yourself and critical of all the things you didn't get done today, right? Or that you are stressing out overly about your house being messy, right? Or something being messy, right? So let's identify the problem. Then the next thing you want to journal about and think and reflect on is, what do you really feel in that problem? So you list out the feelings. Do you feel shame? Do you feel exhaustion? Do you feel tired? Do you feel scared? Do you feel worried? Do you feel stressed? What is the feelings? And then in that process, add here to this question, what is the main feeling that you feel? What is the main thing that you feel or think about that problem? Yeah. So it's the main feeling or thought that's relevant to that problem. When you get the main one, then you ask yourself this next question. What is my first memory of feeling that way? And you're not trying to overthink the memory or figure out the memory. You're just trying to feel what comes up for you. And perfectionists, this is hard for us because we love figuring things out. But when you ask yourself the question, what is the first memory of feeling that way? It's just going to be the one that comes to you. You're not going to have to go searching for it in your mind. It's just going to be the one that comes when you're talking about that feeling. Okay. So the first one, and don't doubt it. Sometimes I still do too. Like when the memory comes up, I'm like, how does that memory relate? Oh, what? Maybe it's another one. And I try to keep thinking. I'm like, no, it's the first one. It's always the first one that comes to your mind. Then the fourth question you want to reflect on and journal on is, how is this situation similar to that one? So you kind of write out what's happening in that memory, and then you look at what's happening in the current memory, in your current situation or problem, and you're looking at the similarities of those situations. Okay. So let's see what this looks like in practice. So for me, the problem that came up for me as I was being really hard on myself about my to-do list. So this is my actual to-do list that I have here. I love keeping to-do lists. They're really helpful for me in getting things done and remembering things. And on I was stressing out about this to-do list one day, and that was the thing. It was like stress and worry was just coming to me. That was the main feelings. And I was like, why am I stressing out so hard about this? So I did these questions, right? The main thing. I'm getting hard on myself about this to-do list. I'm feeling stressed and confused. Then I asked myself, what is the first memory of feeling that stress and contraction around tasks or around doing something? And this is the memory that came up. In 6th grade, I brought my report card home. Now I have dyslexia, so I got really bad grades throughout elementary school. It was hard for me. And it wasn't until about 6th grade that I really started excelling in school and got a handle on my dyslexia. So when I brought home my report card and it had all A's and 1 B, I was so happy. I was so impressed. I was so proud of myself. I was like, this is amazing. Like I was so excited to show somebody. So I remember walking up to my house in Kalihi at that time, and the first person I saw was my stepdad. So I took the report card to him and I was like, look, uncle, I got, look at my report card. I got my report card. And what I remember him saying was, what's with the B? I was like, dagger, right? I was so hurt. I was like, what? What's with the B? Look at all the A's I got. He goes, yeah, but what's with the B? You never got an B. You never got an A in that class. And I was like, and I just felt so stressed and contracted and like, man, like hard on myself. And I related it to my to-do list. And I was like, man, the similarities of these experiences is so like, I am not acknowledging all the things I got done on my to-do list. I am only acknowledging the area that I fell short, the area that I didn't fully get done, the area that I didn't accomplish what I wanted to, right? And that's just like that. He didn't say, good job about all the A's like that. How'd you do that? That's so great, right? It's like the A's didn't matter. And that is the experience that I was putting on myself now as an adult, right? Now, 6th grade was a long time ago, but that same trigger can happen. And the way that I would talk to myself is kind of the way that he was talking to me, right? Well, you never do this. So why are you happy about that, right? No need to be happy about it, right? And, to our parents' defense, right? They're doing the best that they can. And I'm sure he was just trying to be encouraging, right? But the way that 6th grader Chas experienced that was really heavy. So for yourself, and for me, what I then turned around and did was look at my to-do list and looked at all the things that I checked off and said, wow, that's really good. You got this done. Like that took a lot of effort for you to do. And I started acknowledging myself in the way that I really wanted to be acknowledged in that moment. And it did really shift, even just becoming aware of that moment. And that memory was relieving to remember and recall that memory. So this is the power of journaling, and like the power to shape your reality. It's within us, right? When we were younger, our reality was so shaped by our caregivers, by our parents and family. But now we get to shape our reality, and we get to decide what's best for us too. And we get to look at our voice as the most important voice that we have in our life. But at one time, theirs was the most important voice, right? So a lot of times your internal dialogue will sound like them. So this is a way to bring it back to you, bring it back to that first memory, gain that awareness for yourself, and ground yourself and move forward. Move forward and do what you wanted to have done to you, for yourself now. Does that make sense? Give me a 3 in the chat if you feel that story and it makes sense to you. Yay! Okay. Ready for strategy number 2? Yes.
Okay, strategy number 2, enjoy the process. So be clear on the outcome, meaning that like go into situations knowing what you want to get out of it. Like, for instance, if you're going to a party, right, be intentional with the fact that you're going to the party to have fun, right? Not worried about what everybody else is thinking and all that. Be present in the moment, and being present is so important just with everything, right? Because that's how we enjoy life, only when we're there. Be able to laugh at yourself. This is such a gift for me, and especially with my perfectionism, because there were times when I said it out loud, it just straight up sound crazy. And for a perfectionist to be able to let go of how something should be is really another gift, and something so challenging sometimes, but sometimes that's the only way we get to enjoy what is actually happening around us, right? And just stop being so serious, be playful, have fun. Okay, so when a few years back, when I was at the zoo with my kids, they were all admiring the animals, super excited, and I was over there looking at the animals with this face, and I was kind of just like, oh my God, they are like so dirty. Like that alligator has a lot of like algae on its back. That zebra, the stripes are not actually like white, they're like brown. Like I just want to bathe them. They just need a bath. They need to be clean. And then it took me a sec, but then I was like, oh my God, that's so crazy. Like who thinks like that? They're animals, they're zoo animals. They're not even domestic animals. And I just totally had to like laugh at myself. Even we were driving once to North Shore, kind of past the pineapple fields. And I was looking at the trees and I'm just like, the trees would look so much better if they were just symmetrical. My husband was like, what? And it's things like that, when you say out loud, and the fact that I'm actually able to laugh at myself is a gift. If not, like, yeah, that would absolutely drive me nuts. And being able to let go was a story that came up actually just last week. My son had his graduation and they had told us to dress them up nice. So in my head, I automatically thought, long sleeve shirt and pants. And that morning we were rushing and he's trying to tell me like, Mom, no, I don't want to wear pants. It's hot. And I was like, no, they said you have to dress nice. And I didn't listen to what he said. I just rushed, put him in, and all the kids started walking out. Most of the kids were in shorts. And then you see my son right there in the picture with his jeans rolled up, walking out like that. And I was like, oh my God, that looks so funny. And then I'm thinking like, we're gonna take pictures like this. And they called him on stage, to get his diploma. And then they had them stand in the middle of the stage for us to take pictures. And while he was doing that, I was able to kind of like, take a step back and be like, no, this is so Brax. Like, this is just him. This is his personality. That's what he's all about, just doing his own thing. And it's not about it like looking perfect. Like 10 years from now, I'm going to look back at this picture and I'm going to crack up laughing, and I'm really going to remember the moment. And if I wasn't able to do that, I wouldn't have been able to enjoy that picture on the right and that precious moment.
Sorry, Were you Power Trace? Was it the
Yeah,
next one?
sorry. Yeah, so strategy number 3.
All right, strategy number 3 kind of relates to strategy number 2, but in a different way, because we want you to enjoy the process. Remember your intention of enjoying the process. But now let's let things be messy a little bit. When we're perfectionists, I think that this strategy is actually really healing for us, because what I have found in letting things be messy is that it actually makes it way more relatable, and I'm able to, that shame that I thought I was going to feel that when everyone saw my mess actually turned into connection. So let things, let everything be messy. So go ahead, Trace.
Okay, so by letting it be messy, right, we can save ourselves time, so much time. There's so much time that my procrastination and I'm not procrastination, sorry, my trying to get everything perfect, writing, whiting out, trying to check that my spelling's correct, even though I'm going to be the only person that's reading it, has just wasted so much of my time. And then it's going to decrease the procrastination. Sorry, getting everything mixed up. Just let it be messy. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, procrastination, right? Because there were so many times that I wanted to start something, or I didn't actually start something because I didn't know the exact steps to take, and I was worried that it wasn't going to be perfect.
Yeah. And again, it's like it saves time because you're not redoing stuff. Like Tracey told me this story of when she was in high school, she did her homework and then she would rewrite her homework nicely on another piece of paper, right? Because she didn't want to turn in the messy homework. And I'm just like, oh no.
Every assignment,
and if I tried to do that, it would have been.
And I knew it was crazy too, but I still did it.
Yeah, I was like, I spent enough time trying to read this homework. I am not going to rewrite it. But yes, it totally will save time. But also being real with yourself. Like even recently with my business, I do TikTok videos, and it's the videos that I have the titta bun, the crazy no makeup, the stuttering, the saying missounding my words. That is actually the videos that is most connecting with people, and that people are most relatable to and most able to feel like, yeah, she would get me. So it's so funny that like I thought my perfectionism was going to please everybody. I thought my perfectionism was going to make other people like me and make them happy, right? But it actually, I found when I let myself be messy, let myself be imperfect, that it was the thing that connected me more to people. Yeah. So instead, this also helps me with not comparing myself to other people, because when I let myself be messy, I also let go of trying to control everybody else and let them have their process, and realize that like the mistakes that I've made, the flaws that I have actually make me who I am, you know? And even my perfectionism and people pleasing, that makes me who I am. I'm a person with a really big heart and I care a lot about people, and that's okay. It's just the imbalance part that trips me up, right? So let's talk a little bit more about my dyslexia. So when I was learning how to read, so dyslexia is a reading disorder, it was like World War III in my house. Like me and my mom lived with my grandmother, and like to get me to read, crazy. Fights, crying, emotional tragedies every day, emotional damage. And by the time I got to 4th grade, I was about 3 grade levels behind my class. So I was reading at like a kindergarten 1st grade level, and I was in 4th grade. And I think it was because I was trying to be somebody that I wasn't. I wanted to not have dyslexia. I wanted to be like my peers. And when we would go around, and when class would go around and we had to read a sentence or two in front of everybody, I would break down and cry. I struggled so much with not wanting to have dyslexia and resisting it. And in 5th grade, I finally got diagnosed with dyslexia, and I had to go to special ed classes because I was just so far behind my peers. And the best thing that my parents and my teachers did for me at that time was tell me over and over again, like, you have dyslexia, but that's not a bad thing. Like, you're just as smart as everyone else. You just learn differently. And that those mantras I did let seep into me, and I got to a place that year where I accepted that I had dyslexia, and I wasn't going to try to change it or be someone I wasn't. I was going to let myself be messy, let myself have this reading disorder, and that's just the way that it was. So when I would read in class now and people would correct me or be impatient, I'll be like, well, I got dyslexia, too bad. You got to wait for me to read this paragraph. The teacher said we got to read out loud, too bad, you know? Like, this is the way it goes. I'm gonna misspell things. My senior year of school, I was class president, and I had to give a speech in front of my whole school. And one of the things I had to say, I didn't want to say it, was our school motto, which was in Latin. And I had to read it, and I butchered it. I didn't say it right at all in front of the whole school. And you know what was really amazing is that I laughed, and so did everyone with me. Because a lot of people knew at that point that, like, that's Chas. Like, she's gonna mess up the words. Like, I remember we were doing the cross because I went to a Catholic school, and I was doing the cross wrong my whole 4 years I was there. It wasn't until graduation that the Sister Joan of Arc, my principal, was like, Chas, you're going the wrong way. And I was like, oh, I was supposed to go left, right, or right, left. I forget. I was like, I don't know my left from my right. I'm dyslexic. Then I just start blaming my things on dyslexia that might not even be related to it. But the point is too that, like, I went on to be an honor student. I went on to get my master's degree, and I still have dyslexia. And I just once I let myself just have it and just be that way, like, the struggle of trying to change myself, I wasn't giving energy to that anymore, and I was actually able to give energy to being my best self with my mess, you know? So give me a 4 in the chat if you like that story. And you're following me. Yay. Okay, amazing. Tracey, tell us about you. Oh, you're not muted. I mean, you're muted.
Sorry. Okay, so originally I had picked this quote because I was going to talk to you guys about my eating disorder that I had struggled with for about 11 years. And I thought this quote really not only hit that straight on, but also perfectionism. You know, like with perfectionism, we try so hard to look good, and on the outside, and the inside is just like a whole mess. But as I was going through everything, really what resonated or what I felt called to share with you guys more was that my last job was as a case manager working with people with welfare. And I got into it because I really wanted to help people. And I would go to work, and this was my only office job I had that did not have a uniform. So I was so excited, and I would go to work with my makeup perfect, way overdressed to work with in people with welfare and where I was working and all that. And I would try so hard to look perfect. And I would have these clients come in with, some of them, not all of them, with a chip on their shoulder. And I'm sure like they would look at me and think like, you know, I have nothing in common with you. I have nothing to talk to you about. And mind you, like I had my own mess, my own struggles, not only with the eating disorder, but I also struggled with addiction for a very long time. And at that time, you know, I was in a new office. I didn't feel super open about sharing it with everybody there because nobody there knew me as that person. But it was only when I was able to use that as part of my message that I was really able to connect with these people. And a lot of these people opened up so much to me. And that's how we were really able to get like deep work done. And I formed really strong relationships through that.
Yes. What did you say yesterday? Let your mess become your message.
Yes, I got that from, I believe, Lisa Nichols, and I love that.
Yes. And I think it's not, Cindy brought up a good point here. Like she said, I have a problem where I give up if it's not perfect. Like I purposely make it messy or let it go to crap if I know it's not going to be perfect anyways, you know? So I think there's a little difference with that because with, I think what you're talking about, Cindy, too, is like this letting it go, but it's with anger or fear, and you're still worried about like what people think about it, you know, like it's I don't know, it feels different when you say it like that with that story, like letting it go versus letting things be the way that they are and working with it.
Yeah.
And I think for me, yeah, Cindy, you want to say more about that?
Yeah, just to kind of add on to that, to clarify. So
Yes.
I know it's a perfectionistic problem. I think it's just like, for me, sometimes when I know I already kind of messed it up,
Oh,
I will like purposely just give up, because it's kind of the idea that if I try my best and it still wasn't perfect, then they'll know
yes,
that I was just born bad at this. So if I mess it up, it's like I purposely did that. So you can't criticize my natural talents or whatever. Um, but I think it's still it stems from perfectionism.
totally. It's another way of guarding ourselves, right? Yes, Christina said she can relate. If you can relate to Cindy, put a 5 in the chat, because that was
Yeah.
really vulnerable. Thank you for
I
sharing.
feel like I even used my addiction for an excuse for that same purpose, you know, because if people just thought I was an addict or, you know, alcoholic, I didn't have to try. And if I didn't try, I couldn't fail at anything.
Yes,
Wouldn't expect anything of me.
yes. Do you feel that there's the difference between what we're kind of saying with let it be messy, with like letting ourselves be imperfect, versus
Yeah.
intentionally messing up as a guard to say, oh yeah, I never even tried, right? I never even. So
Yeah.
this, I can relate to this. There's a school in Hawaii. It's called Kamehameha Schools, if you don't know, and it's a school you have to have Native Hawaiian ancestry to go there. It's part of the, it's part of the mission of the school and the part of the, and it's a big deal to go to this school. A lot of my family went there. A lot of my older cousins went there, and it was like something I really wanted. My mom really wanted for me to do, and I remember that I knew that for my cousins going there that they took showers after PE, so they had to be naked and take showers. And I was so ashamed of my body, I didn't want to have to do that. So on part of my test for the school, I made some of the questions wrong on purpose. And I didn't tell my mom till like years later, but I didn't get into the school. And sometimes I'm like, ooh, like like this fear of being judged, or like it made me self-sabotage, or it made me do things on purpose to, so when I didn't get in, I didn't have to feel so bad about it, or I didn't have to do what it was going to require of me. So I get what you're saying too, and I think a little bit of this is different because I feel like it's also just letting go of control. When I think of this tip and this strategy, it's more about letting go of the control of how people see you and just letting yourself be the way that it is, right? But when you purposely make mistakes so that other people can't perceive you as failing, or if they perceive you as failing, you wanted that to happen, you're still holding on to the control and trying to dictate how other people see you. Yeah. So I love that example, Cindy, and I love that you got to say that in that clarification. So I think with this strategy is really leaning towards is the controlling how people see you versus just being who you are. Yeah.
Of how it should be.
How it should be. Yes.
And Sky hit it like straight on, like letting go versus sabotage.
Yeah. And hi, Han, you could we'll definitely send you the recording, but you can stay on for the rest of the class for sure. Okay, so where in your, we want to ask you guys, right? Where in your life can you let yourself be messy? Or where in your life are you a little bit messy, right? What are some of the flaws that you have right now that you can acknowledge? What do you think is wrong with you? Sky said earlier in the chat, she said her house is messy, something like that. Yeah, Sky. And if you don't know, I know this about Sky, so I think it's okay if I share, but like she has a baby. She's a new mama, right? So how messy can life be when we got a baby in the house, right? Like I think that this would be really helpful for that, because it would be letting go of controlling. And also this kind of, you also have this mourning thing, right? You're mourning your singleness and when it was easy to keep your house clean, right? Before a baby came around, right? Your life is different forever now. But can you guys put in the chat, or can you, if we don't have time, no, we don't have time to share in there, but put in the chat, where is your life a little bit messy right now? Your finances. Ooh, yeah, my finances too. That's why I hired Sky to help me get my finances in order, because she'd be messy. And that one I can't let be messy for too long, or tax people are gonna come for me. Customer tracking and follow up. Ooh, yes, there you go. Messy part of our business. Your home, Cindy. Yes, your house. Yes. Ooh, Trace, your marriage is a little messy. Yeah. I was talking to a client of mine and I told her, what if you just let him go? Just not let him go and divorce him, but just let him be. Just leave him alone. You working on your self-development, you working on yourself, you working on your business, you doing that. Never mind him. Stop trying to pull him to therapy. Stop trying to get him to go with you to couples counseling. Stop trying to make him go to church with you and change. What if you just let him be? Just let him be and you do you. Yeah. So I love this. So I love it. You identified the area of your life, and how can you just sometimes just let it be the way it is? Sit in your living room with the toys and clothes and diapers everywhere and dishes not done and laundry not done, and just give yourself time to just sit in that messy living room and watch some TV and relax. Right? And then the tool that I want to offer you guys for this one that's great for letting things be messy and releasing control is first meditate. Like, I know we hear it all the time. There's so many different ways to meditate. There's self-guided, there's tracks you can listen to, all kinds of stuff. But meditation is an amazing tool. Practice it, do it, find the way that works best for you. And this other one is called HALT, or pause. And HALT stands for hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. Yeah. So whenever you're feeling hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, let yourself be that, right? Allow yourself to be hungry and go get something to eat. Allow yourself to be lonely or angry and let yourself have a break from people, right? Or reach out to people if you're feeling lonely. If you're angry, take a break from people. If you're lonely, reach out to people, right? If you're tired, allow yourself to be tired and take a nap. How many of us fight these things? How many of us don't want to listen to our hunger cues, don't listen to ourselves when we're angry or feeling alone, and especially when we're tired? I know y'all are amazing accomplishers in your life, and when we're tired, we don't listen to ourselves. We just push. So this is the message of HALT. When you're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, let yourself be that way and respond to yourself accordingly. Give yourself what you need. Yeah. Okay. Our offer to you guys during this workshop is a clarity call with either of us. So we will put our emails or phone numbers in the chat here, and you can contact us for a clarity call. We would love to meet you and talk about whatever came up for you during this workshop. It's a free call with either Tracey or myself, and we would love to support you and help you work through any of those blocks that came up for you that maybe you became more aware of in this call. Yeah. We're getting close to the time, so we're ending with a poem from Prince EA, and he talks about perfectionism. Anything you want to add here, Trace, before I get into the video?
Nope, I love this video.
No, it's perfect. It's a perfect way to end the class. So after this will be POW. We're done. For people who don't know how long.
Perfection. The condition, state, or quality of being free from all flaws or defects. I think the actual definition should be a 10-letter word describing something that doesn't exist, or prison, maybe straitjacket. See, perfection is a virus, a tumor, a growth. It infects the mind of who it attaches itself to until it eventually destroys the host. I hate the very word perfection. It has driven me crazy for years, guided by fear. I was constantly comparing myself to my peers, stressing and striving to reach some idea that only existed in here. Oh, you thought perfection was real? Well, I disagree. I mean, have you ever seen a perfect tree? In real life, have you ever gone into a forest and seen a perfect tree? Nah, see, they all got a little something going on. Some lean this way, some lean that way, some have a little too much moss, and some got a whole bunch of bark that's been ripped off, but somehow, they're all beautiful. But when it comes to people, we don't seem to see that we are all beautiful in all of our expressions. So we dissect ourselves into pieces, judging each other, thinking perfection is something we can achieve, which leads us to feeling depleted and defeated. But Salvador Dali said it best: have no fear of perfection because you'll never reach it. Ladies and gentlemen, there are two doors in life. Door number one, be perfect and be admired. Or door number two, be real and be loved. I say choose door number two, and choose it quick, because life's too short to try to live up to something that doesn't even exist. It makes no sense. So please create your own unique expression. Color outside the lines. Be the pretzel that refuses to knot. Be the marble that doesn't quite roll right. Do the dance that nobody's ever seen before. And don't worry if people stop and stare. I mean, if the Leaning Tower of Pisa was straight, nobody would care. See, when mistakes are made, beauty is birthed. You know why they call it the Model T? Because that's how many letters it took for Henry Ford to get that darn car to work. So don't worry about always being first and getting it right. I mean, Sony's very first product they ever made, it cooked rice. So embrace your mistakes. They are to be savored. Failure is the condiment that gives success its flavor. And true success is being yourself in a world that's constantly trying to make you someone else. You know, I was reading the other day about a Japanese tradition called kintsugi. What they do is, if an object breaks, they fill the cracks with pure gold, because they believe that when something suffers damage and has a history, it is all the more beautiful. So I say, love your cracks. You may call it brokenness, but it is the way your light will shine through. And if you have no one in your corner, then consider me your supporter, and we will smile together as society tries to diagnose our gifts as disorders. You don't need to be a perfect person with perfect makeup, perfect skills, or a perfect build. Because the truth is, real people aren't perfect. And perfect people aren't real.
Yay. Amazing. Thank you guys all. Thank you. We had a little bit over time, but thank you for hanging on if you were able to. Again, even if you know me on this call, you can do a clarity call with me to help talk about perfectionism in particular and unblocking you for a bit. And that's my gift to all of you for attending this workshop and signing up. So don't feel like you can't do that. Thank you guys all. And we're going to stay a little bit after. Bye. We're going to stay a little bit after.
That was so awesome, you guys. Thank you.